Welcome to another episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Anthony Luciano Raimondi. What's up, man?
Not too much, Billy. How you doing?
I've been good, man.
Nice.
I want to talk about these rats, man.
I tell you what, let's start off with Frankie Lino.
All
Frankie
right.
Lino was with the Bonanno family. He was a captain in the Bonanno family. Frankie Lino had I don't know if it was his daughter. Oh, yeah, I think it was his daughter. Her name was Grace Ann. She used to go around to hang out with a friend of mine, Mikey the Bear, who was around me. P.S. What happened? There was a rumor that Mikey the Bear sold Grace Ann drugs or gave her drugs because the girl was hooked on drugs. But she was fucked up to begin with. She used to come to my club when I had the Rich Man Poor Man Club in Brooklyn. That club was on Avenue L between East 15th Street and Locust Avenue. And it was a great spot. Anyway, he turns around, he puts a hit out on Mikey the Bear. I go down to the Diplomat on Carroll and 3rd, and I was told about what happened. And I said, Mikey never sold her any drugs. I told him, I said, who Grace Ann got the drugs from? She got them from this other kid named Lummo. So they said, if you can get to the spot before they do the hit, the guy will see you. He knows you. He won't do the hit. P.S., make a long story short, I got there. It was about maybe a minute, not even a minute. And it was too late. They already popped my friend. Guy was around me, Mikey the Bear.
Oh, man.
All right. Now, it turns out that the real story was that Mikey the Bear ripped off a drug dealer. Now, Frankie Lino was, quote unquote, dead set against drugs, not into drugs, wouldn't let his people do drugs, wouldn't let his people sell drugs. If you sold it, you get killed. Okay. What the real story turned out to be was that Mikey the Bear ripped off this drug dealer, took out how many pounds, how many kilos of coke from him, about 150,000 in cash, jewelry, and he whacked him. He whacked the guy. Okay. It turns out this was Frankie Lino's supplier. Frankie Lino had one of the biggest drug businesses going, this hypocritical fuck that he was. Meanwhile, Frankie Lino would go around pointing the finger at everybody, saying, this guy's a rat, that guy's a rat. And Joe Messina would give the okay to whack him. Well, Frankie Lino got picked up, and he had a case. He was facing 5 years. That's all he was facing, 5 years. Not like everybody says, 20 years, 30 years, 5 years. And they said, they said, well, he had a medical condition. They were going to send him to like a medical facility, like in Lexington, Kentucky, which that's like being in a camp.
Yeah.
It's like being in a camp for the weekend. P.S. Frankie Lino turned around and ratted everybody out.
For 5 years.
For 5 years, he ratted everybody out. He pointed the finger at everybody and said, this guy's a rat. And Joe Messina would give the okay to whack the guy on Frankie Lino's say so. Meanwhile, Frankie Lino was the one that turned out to be the rat. And all these other guys that he said to whack them, none of them were rats. Not one of them turned out to be a rat. Only Frankie Lino was over 5 years. Right?
Was there other people that were doing stuff like that?
There's so many fucking guys. You had shit. You had Jesus. I mean, all the guys that they turned out to be rats. You had Johnny Pate, who was Charlie Moose's brother-in-law, Johnny Pate. He lived in Staten Island on Highland Boulevard. He got pinched on a case. He was a captain in the family. Guy was a tough guy. He'd order you hit. He'd order you killed in 5 seconds. This guy, if you sat down at the table with him, and if he felt you didn't show him the proper respect that he thought he deserved, when you walked out of the meeting, he would tell his guys to whack you. 2-3 days later, they'd find you dead. There's another guy, wasn't into the drug, dead set against drugs. Well, one of his drug dealers turned out to be a rat, and they gave him up. Johnny Pate was facing 10 years. I believe it was 10 years he was facing. Now, Johnny Pate was a captain in the family, and they told him, anything happens, you're taken care of, your business still goes, everything's still running, don't worry about nothing. So he says, okay. So he's going to trial. Johnny Pate goes to trial, and they say the most, for whatever the reason was, I'm not exactly sure on what it was, but for whatever the reason was, the most time the judge could give him on a conviction was 10 years. And they said, if you get the 10, if you get convicted, you're going to get the 10. And the lawyers all said, you know what, we'll get you out in like 4. We'll do this, we'll do that. They knew exactly how to pull strings, but you had to do some time. Well, Johnny Pate turned around and says, fuck you all. And he turned around and ran it on everybody, including his brother-in-law. Gave everybody. And these are guys that are supposed to be honorable guys.
Yeah, they were like brought up to not talk to the police, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be honorable. And we'll talk about these ain't guys that are kids. We'll talk about these guys who already were in their 40s, 50s, like that. So these guys
Yeah.
been around. They
Yeah.
knew the score. They knew the score on what's what. Then you
Would
had
you?
this Carmine. Then you had Carmine Sessa. They brought Carmine Sessa around, and that's why the Colombo War started in the end of the 80s, early 90s. It was caused of Carmine Sessa, but I'll get into that another time. P.S. Carmine Sessa was letting it go to his head that they made him a boss and a consigliere and then an underboss and all this other bullshit. Carmine Sessa sends his 2 brothers out to whack a guy. The guy that he wanted whacked had a food truck, but he had numbers, sports, horses, Shylock, and everything. P.S. His 2 brothers, they killed the wrong guy. Killed the wrong guy. The guy was a legitimate family man. They killed the wrong fucking guy. Needless to say, they get there's questions going on about what's going on. Then the Colombo War starts, and Carmine Sessa gets arrested. Him, Teddy Persico, Chucky, and I forgot who else. They got arrested on, I think it was Easter Sunday night, or it was Palm Sunday night, on the steps of St. Patrick's Cathedral. And Carmine Sessa Dan, they all get arrested. They get brought into MCC, and everybody's got to go before the judge. They had a whole shitload of fucking charges against them. Well, the next morning, everybody gets up early. They open up your cells to get you out to eat your breakfast and everything. Everybody comes out except Carmine Sessa. So Uncle Teddy turns around. Uncle Teddy Persico turns around and says, "Well, where the fuck is Carmine? Was he still sleeping?" The guy who was in the cell room says, "No." He said, "They took him out of here at 4 o'clock this morning."
Yeah, because he was going to tell.
He ratted on every. Teddy wound up doing over 20 years, and he died. He was only home for about 2 or 3 years, and he died. He died of natural causes. He couldn't even enjoy being out or the rest of his life because this guy ratted him out. Chucky is still in prison for life, and all the other guys are still in for life, kind of Carmine Sessa. I mean, well, he's off wherever he's going, somewhere, and he's scot free. He even ratted on his brothers. How's that grab you?
Wow.
Yeah.
He's still around. He's still alive.
Carmine Sessa. Well, he's in witness protection program.
Yeah, the
Right?
WITSEC program.
He's in the WITSEC program. This fucking piece of shit that he is. Let me tell you something. Then you had Sally Michiata, Sally Majok, they called him. Made him a captain in the family, brought him up right. Guy done God knows how many pieces of work, done everything he had to do from top to bottom. He gets a pinch, says, "Fuck you, I'm not doing the time." He ratted on everybody. So ratted on, got everybody that he was involved with sent away. Didn't give a shit.
There's a lot of people out there that do stuff like that, right?
Now, my point I'm trying to make, there's a point I'm trying to make with this. All these guys were clean shaven. They never wore facial hair, never wore a mustache or beard, no nothing. And the story was years ago, they used to say, if you wear a mustache or a beard or blah, 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 you're a rat, you're going to become a rat. Well, guess what? All these guys were clean shaven. Not one of them wore a mustache. Not one of them wore a beard, not sideburns, and they all ratted on everybody out. So that's bullshit. Whether you're wearing facial hair or not, that you're going to be a rat. You had the kid Anthony Russo. He was involved in a piece of work. The guys came out of prison. They made him a wise guy. Everything. He took a pinch. He gave up everybody. And here's another guy who was clean shaven guy. Clean shaven. Jimmy Fratiano the Weasel. Clean shaven. He gave up everybody. Joe Valachi, the first rat that they had on record. He gave up everybody. You had what was his name? There was a guy.
Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the Bull's another one. Sammy killed like 18 men. He would just go to John, you know what, this, that, or whatever. John would tell Sammy, do what you want to do, or he would okay it. Sammy'd whack the guy, and Sammy would take over his business. Sammy was only whacking the guys to take over their business because they had a good business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you had this guy, Georgie the Greek. He was a guy's brother-in-law. He turned around and he ratted on Carmine Persico. That Carmine Persico was hiding out in his house, and he got a $50,000 reward. Meanwhile, he was married to one of the captain's sisters, and they gave him everything, this guy, but he wanted to be a gangster. And being they wouldn't make him a gangster, but they gave him everything. The guy was earning maybe 100,000 a month, which isn't a bad deal, just because you're married to one of the captain's sisters. And he wound up ratting on everybody because he wanted to be what he wanted to be, and they said you can't because you're not all Italian.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit. You have Frankie Sparacca, Frankie Blue Eyes. All right, Frankie was close with the kid Ali Boy Persico. Close, thicker than thieves they were. They were like closer than brothers. He turned around, he ratted them out. And again, what happened? They're all clean shaven.